to the next level, or they'll get to the next leg in the tournament, or they get to the grand finals of it, and it's through the most unconventional methods you might expect, with some goals going in by accident. But hey, it makes Endpoint that much more exciting to watch because you never really know what you're going to get.
Yeah, Endpoint have had some of the most exciting matches here in RLCS for Europe, and even for North America, if you want to combine the two. They have certainly been a part of some wild matches. But Jorby, talking about this matchup here and what it means for both teams. I mean, Gibbs brought it up, obviously the point situation, and what a blessing for both these teams to come out and have both the teams, Dignitas and Galaxy Racer, closest to them, already be knocked out of this tournament. And I think, Jorby, you know, and for fans at home, the message that you're going to start hearing a lot from us casters is the importance of playing well now in this major. There is so much on the line as you get closer and closer to the end of the season, and having opportunities like this is just so huge for a team like Endpoint and for teams like Guild. Yeah, the domino doesn't really fall this way that often. As much as we acknowledge the volatility at the top of Rocket League, there's still your consistent teams that make it to the final day. And so, like you said at the beginning, you know, you're not given chances like this often. And Endpoint trying to take advantage of it here with Metanares couldn't get too far above it. Virtuoso kept it going, but Guild stopped another attack. Endpoint have had a couple of good looks, but nothing so far. Yeah, both teams. Opportunity here as that's a weak shot coming down from Vivo. Relating Wave wants to take this one to there. Now Virtuoso to play it off the sidewall. Metanares' shot is on target and put away. Look at the transition from Endpoint to go up 1-0. Yeah, that loss in midfield, though, was going for the boost and did not think he was going to get burned on that bounce. But Metanares was ready for it, and it was textbook from Endpoint. I'm surprised that Tho left it that open. And it's not going to show up on the stat sheet for Relating Wave, but beating that first man in the air dribble and transitioning so cleanly by himself out of his half was so huge for Endpoint to transition downfield. Everything fell into place because Relating Wave could beat the first man, and that's the importance of beating the first man. Now Nolly's going to have an opportunity here with Virtuoso. He wants a second touch, and Metanares to bail out Endpoint. Virtuoso trying to box out Devo, who already stole the boost, but it's taken away again. And Guild, this is a nice setup. First, here comes Tho. Does he get the goal? Yes, he does. Right from midfield. Guild get it back. And Guild, we're kind of cherry-picking the outside of the box here in between the midfield line. That's a great cutback from Tho to go a bit wider on the ball. Didn't have to take the fastest touch possible there. Saw the opportunity he had to wait with it and then cut it back when the man made his flip in the first defender there. And Tho able to put it away himself. And now for the kickoff, Nolly again having a quick opportunity and turned away once again. But still, you like how Guild are approaching it. And Tho getting another win. Endpoint starting to have more trouble getting out, but Relating Wave found a nice win over to Metanares. Now Endpoint try to turn things around in the orange half. They actually have to let that one go. Relating Wave pulled off. He will grab the ball here, but this is not a position they really wanted to be in, and Guild are able to take advantage. They've locked Endpoint in the blue half. Tho pushes forward. Nolly has the shot, and it's 2 for Guild. That's huge offense coming out from Guild. The control to keep this ball in the half for so long for Endpoint. You can see it's just tough for Endpoint to get up and make a play on it. Things happen so quickly. The boost was low for everyone there on Endpoint and for Guild. It's some great offense we're seeing out of them. Now putting up 5 shots, but it really is that control that Guild have right now that's making it so frustrating for Endpoint to break out. Endpoint, a couple of possessions felt like they gave up almost willingly, expecting to be able to react, and instead they've gotten burned twice on it now. That time Relating Wave was able to pick up the save, but Endpoint don't want to be putting themselves in that position too often, otherwise Guild will have a breakaway. 2-on-1, shot and blocked right there by Virtuoso. Picked up again by Devo, but it might die here in the corner as Endpoint gets clear. And Guild are doing a great job right now, shutting down the one thing that Endpoint thrive in. It's that transition game. If you notice, ever since the first goal from Endpoint, they really haven't been able to find each other downfield. It's actually just been straight to an Endpoint player, and a Guild player, and Endpoint have been forced to take on 1 and 2 defenders at the same time. Guild have done a great job of controlling the midfield, but also controlling the midfield line and not letting anything go over their head. There's always someone there to contest and making sure that Endpoint can't find the next pass. Ooh. And Devo got the save even though he wasn't there initially. Nolly
picks up the next one. Guild in a tough situation here, but Devo makes another nice stop in front of the box. Virtuoso can't hang on to the ball. Tho got rid of it, and now Tho takes control. Tho doing it all himself to push towards the box, and Endpoint, as soon as they got something good going, Guild turned it into an opportunity of their own. Here, Devo again. He's going to get a good touch here in midfield. Not a lot of boost to work with, but Endpoint, they're frozen on the box, and it delays their approach along the back wall. Tho makes another challenge happen, and that one goes Endpoint's way, finally breaking out the Guild territory.
Yeah, Endpoint have got to keep Guild locked in here, especially in the final 30 seconds. Virtuoso doing his best to find the back wall, and does get a second touch. At least stays in possession of Metzenaris with low boost. Going to be tough to find the pass. Virtuoso's there, and he sneaks it through. Virtuoso, the wizard to go by Guild.
Virtuoso, time and again, puts himself at the center of Endpoint's success, and he pulls off and absolutely destroyed Guild. Double commit, but also the pullback, the changeup. That was wonderful.
Everyone was expecting the quick shot from Virtuoso, and instead he pulls back and lets it go under. He did get a little touch on now Metzenaris in the final 10. Opportunity here for Endpoint to steal it away. A big clear from Nolly. Virtuoso looking for Relating Wave to drop it down, and with no boost from Virtuoso, he can't get back to it. Now Guild has the opportunity. It's given back to Virtuoso. Relating Wave as well went. And we find ourselves in overtime here. Endpoint and Guild battling it out in game one.
Man, with Endpoint, you never know it at the 0-second mark, right? You think he gets that catch of the boost, and oh no, here it comes. But off the kickoff, Tho gets bumped out of the way. That's still going to be a good push from Guild. Again, so quick to get to midfield and make those challenges happen. Don't let Endpoint get comfortable in orange territory. Tho gets another good block, but they need a clear. Devo gets that clear, forces Metzenaris to swing wide against the wall, and he gets demoed for his efforts. A demo returned to him by Virtuoso. Downfield, the shot off the crossbar and taken away by Devo.
And Relating Wave was very cautious in approaching that ball. And there's Nolly. Oh, he's just going to go through the defense. He picks it up when he comes back down on the dribble, and Nolly ends it himself.
Oh, Nolly gave him the slip and dip. Whoop, right underneath him into the net. Beautifully done. Guild coming out on top off of an incredible effort at the end. Just when you thought Endpoint had him, Guild came right back.
And look, you know, I think Guild are very happy to walk away with this win, because it felt like, Jorby, as we got closer to that overtime and then into overtime, things were shifting into Endpoint's favor. Guild weren't able to back Endpoint into their own half as much. Endpoint were finding a lot more opportunities. They were setting things up. Virtuoso even finding demos all of a sudden. That's where Endpoint get really scary, and Guild kind of let that slip near the end. But a great solo play by Nolly, no doubt, for Guild to sneak away with this Game 1 victory. Yeah,
now that they solidified that in Game 1, that this purported Endpoint comeback, you know, they score within 15 seconds. They're probably the top team in Europe that scores within 15 seconds of a game ending. Well, that was 17. It's close enough. You understand.
Close enough.
Endpoint find themselves in that spot more times than not. That move by Nolly, though, just so clutch. Yeah, to get on top. Because if Endpoint take that game, they more times than not have just ran away with matches after that.
Yeah, and you know what? For most of that game, it was quite quite scary from Guild. I don't know why I said that. It was quite scary from Guild. They looked really good in Game 1 up until things started to slip away from them. So for Guild, I feel like if they could find that form that they had for most of Game 1, they'd be okay in this series.
Certainly have been solid in the challenge department, especially Phil. Grabs another ball. Devo gets the boomer, but for Endpoint, you had some really great blips there. Virtuoso had the move that he did. Relating Wave actually set up Metzenaris earlier, but Endpoint's other goal was, you know, kind of a gimme from Guild. Initially, there was just a textbook rebound off the corner wall. And they're probably going to have to get more creative than that. Virtuoso sitting in front of the box might do it, though. First goal to Endpoint.
Yeah, working in the trenches here. That's a bad touch by Tho. Took it away from Devo. It's lets Metzenaris come through, and Virtuoso, of course, you know he's going to turn back around on any ball coming across the box. You can't have him lingering there. But it was really on Guild taking away, Tho taking that ball away from Devo and allowing Endpoint to kind of work their magic. And they certainly did to get the go-ahead goal.
Man, that's just Virtuoso, though, isn't it? The dude just cultivates chaos.
He's always ready. He's always ready.
Chaos is in his wake. Oh, man. Metanaris blocked by Tho. And Guild having to play more defense. Looked a little scary there for a second, but that rebound was pretty favorable to grab off the back wall. A nice little dump here from Virtuoso. But Guild again, difficult to get by on the back wall, the corner wall. Devo sees Virtuoso in front, still can't win that challenge. Nolly in trouble, kicked up by Relating Wave. Metanaris can't get there in time. Guild stop another attack, and Endpoint are forced back to the blue.
Endpoint were very eager to send their players on that attack. They could smell the blood in the water there as things got a little bit dicey. For Guild, that ball hugged the wall just far enough to make it tough for Metanaris to put a shot on target. That was a good bump by Nolly. No one there to follow up from Guild. Guild trying to lock in Endpoint now as, again, we pointed out earlier in game one, was kind of where they took over. And that's a great pass. Nolly turned away by Metanaris.
Metanaris just in the perfect spot to block that. Endpoint. We got to get control of this soon. Metanaris not hitting that ball will force Relating Wave up. And Nolly gets the grab. That was another chance for Endpoint to break out of midfield. And instead they gave the ball right back. Somehow Devo just
do this.
Tumbles his way through, Corelli.
How could they allow this? Look at him. He's got full control all the way across. He got bumped a bit, but he never gets bumped off the ball. It just dumps it off to Devo, says, here you go, buddy, have a free goal. Meanwhile, two Endpoint players are chasing after him, and Nolly completely unfazed by it.
You know how the Dominus kind of looks like a flat refrigerator magnet? Like, yeah. That's what it looked like. He was just driving, not doing anything special. The ball just kept staying right along his Dominus, and somehow the ball got through to Devo, but Endpoint comes striking right back. A nice pass to Relating Wave, collects 2 for Endpoint.
And again, the transition game. That first touch got away. I think Relating Wave kind of pushed it downfield a bit too fast, but comes out to Metanaris, who gives it back to Relating Wave. And again, we talk about Virtuoso always being ready, but that is the personality of this team. They are always ready for whatever the game gives them, and they do a great job of capitalizing on that. And that's why we always say they're a great transition team. It always feels like they create their best chances in the chaos of the transition.
When chaos is in your wake, you're typically the best handled to deal with it. It can be their greatest detriment at times, though, too. It's
absolutely.
It's certainly killed Endpoint in other tournaments because of that play style. But again, it's less so the consistency of that style and more so the entertainment value and the exciting moments we get when Endpoint do conquer the chaos they create. Metanaris picks up another one off the ground, though. There again to block it. Guild's defense really tough to crack through. Relating Wave will be the next to try, but he's still forced out to the side, and Tho is always there on defense. Nolly's next up, but guess what? Tho's there to pick up the save. This dude is all over the pitch in this match. Challenges on defense, setting up a pass downfield to Devo. Whatever you need him to do right now, Corelli, you give it to Tho.
Yeah, and Guild not finding that same lockdown offense that they had before, but this is a fine shot from Devo. It's turned away by Virtuoso. Great setups by Guild. All of a sudden, a couple quality chances turned away, though, by equally as good defense. Because once again, Nolly with the shot. That one almost finds the target. Found the angle and the power, and still Guild struggling to break through, even though they have had some fantastic chances.
Yeah, Guild has been happy to play in the corners, too. They haven't really had it. Solid opportunity for an infield pass, but they've retained possession to this point. Devo just missed it, though can't get there in time. Devo, another shot. Here it comes. Oh, the pass to Nolly is out to the side, and Guild just trying to get through this defense and the wall, if you will, but they can't really find a quality shot on net. Metanaris gets the next clear, and Devo tries again. Tho right on top of him, but Nolly's just a little farther back, and Devo's forced to come forward. Takes a low shot, taken away by Virtuoso. Nolly looks for the boost steal. He'll take the ball. Instead, Tho gets the next challenge. Guild pushing Endpoint back as far as they can into the blue half, and still control of midfield belongs to Guild. Nolly pushes it forward, and it looks like it might die here.
My goodness. As soon as I said, we're not really seeing that lockdown offense, Guild have just turned it on. And they are pushing for this goal, the equalizer that they so desperately need, and it might be the last chance. Nolly looking for a second touch. He will play it across the goal, has to go through a defender. It's popped up to Devo, and he can't get the touch. Gonna knock it out to Nolly, but Relating Wave ends it there. And Endpoint get a game back.
Oh, Nolly, he bit on the Devo pass, And just, it's funny because had he actually waited, he might have had a better opportunity at the ball. But in that situation, you just have to go for it. And Gil couldn't pull that one out. Endpoint, they somehow survived impressive control from Gil, like right down to the small boost pad steals. But even when Endpoint just had to sit on the wall and get the clear and be benefited from 1 or 2 crossbar hits from Endpoint, they were feeling good, or from Guild, excuse me.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, for Guild, that last minute or so was extremely strong, and they did something quite interesting. I mean, it was just like an alley-oop to Nolly over and over and over again. There was 3 attacks in a row, I think, where they just popped the ball up using Nolly as a point man and playing off of him, whether he missed his shot or got contested. I mean, Nolly was the centerpiece of that offense there for quite a long time, or just the individual effort. I mean, you can go back to the first game and you saw what he did. And that offense really revolving around Nolly here in this series so far. When he's in the right spot and Guild can feed him the ball, quite obviously, good things are happening for him. They didn't win that game, but look at that offense that they were able to generate. They can keep that up. Surely they'll come out victorious here in this series.
Yeah, Nolly driving the offense, but then Tho conducting the defense. So many times he had to either pick up the save or get a pass out to Devo to get the clear out. It didn't matter who it was. Usually Tho was the first man on the push out from the orange half. It's been a solid performance from the entire Guild team, but Endpoint, it was a much needed win. Going down 2 games is always hard to come back from. And this puts them in a more solid, or this puts them in a solid position to take control of the series. Wave can't quite find his way to Virtuoso, but patience begets them as they have a shot, but Metzenaris, close angle, tough shot.
Virtuoso still not giving up on the play, doing everything he can to buy time for his teammates to get back. This ball does come back down to Metzenaris, who lands on it. Here's Virtuoso. Has a bit of boost to work with, but couldn't keep control. Always got to keep an eye on Nolly here for Guild and where he's at right now, playing in the 3rd man position. But Endpoint have to be wary when he comes to strike, and that one does come off the back wall, though. Easily reads that play and trying to pass this one across to Devo. Devo does get a piece of it. Will allow Guild to stay on offense for the moment. Now, though, he'll go up for it, but beaten out by Metzenaris. Now, Endpoint have the opportunity. Shut down by Devo. Still this attack. Trying to struggle on for Endpoint if they can keep possession, and though finally pops it away.
Though he's trying to get that shot, but had to jump over Mets to do it. And just couldn't quite find the angle. Let's just launch back downfield. Endpoint setting up shot. Metzenaris past the relating wave, but can't find the shot. And it's rolling up the wall for Guild to handle. But this is the best spot Endpoint have had in the last 2 minutes. Another demo from Virtuoso, though has to get that grab, but there's nobody to grab the follow-up. Endpoint haven't found the net just yet, but here comes Relating Wave. 2 taps towards Virtuoso. Shot blocked by Devo. The follow-up from Tho. Guild's defense just cannot be broken right now. Metzenaris, no chance for Virtuoso. Nolly gets the clear, Corelli.
And look at the challenges coming out from Endpoint to keep the attacks on as well. Guild doing well to weather the storm at the moment, but it is just all Endpoint right now. Relating Wave, he didn't get that touchback out to Virtuoso, and that'll end the attack. Now, though, wants to take on the whole team, trying to flick it up, and and he does all the way through, and he takes it himself to give Guild the go-ahead goal.
You just hope for situations like this. You have the last defender caught out, less than 30 boost. All you gotta do is get the perfect flick. Mets had to pick up the pace to keep up with Tho to shadow him. That required the rest of his boost, and by the time the flick came, it was already above his head. Great job from Tho, and Metzenaris in the toughest spot, but Guild. Just credit to being able to make every challenge happen on defense, creating threatening opportunities every time they transition. Even right here, it might turn into a quality opportunity. Nolly kicks it up, forces Mets up. And it will slow down here for a second, but Guild, you see them just, they'll inch as close as they can. Tho wanted the pass, Mets got the bump, and Endpoint get the clear.
Nolly returns it right back. This Relating Wave forced to go up and at least contest that play, as Metzenaris also being shut down by Guild, and Guild looking to pick up the pace late here in this game again. Happy to sit on their 1-goal lead, maybe make it 2. Endpoint do charge down the field. Virtuoso way late on that challenge, allows Guild to get out. Devo getting a second touch. It's over to Nolly. Shut down by Relating Wave. That's a good challenge from him. and the defense of Endpoint to not allow Nolly to instantly set himself up off the back wall, or off the sidewall rather.
Endpoint doing a good job in front of the box as well of defending Guild's close angle passes in front of the box. Like, they've blocked most of those attempts from Guild. And they might have to do it again. They're a little slow out the gates here as Guild wait. And Nolly already up into the air. No one from Endpoint is ready for it or able to follow that up, and the shots are just coming. And now Metanoris has to hustle. Gets the first touch up in front of the box, and Guild are just content to wait because the touches keep coming right back to them. And the net's open! Tho gets the second goal for Guild.
Yeah, Endpoint getting a little jumpy, losing the discipline that they had. Virtuoso needed help, and so it baited out Relating Wave to go for it, and Tho was ready for the touch the entire time. And Endpoint give up a free goal and a free shot to Tho.
Now, Endpoint, they gotta change something up. It is not working right now. You gotta something in the boost department, in the challenge department on defense. Something's gotta change because you're not getting to these challenges fast enough. You're not winning the boost battle quick enough. Guild have just been a step ahead in this game, and there might be a chance here for Endpoint in the final minute. Here, Metz gets the Virtuoso, but not before Nolly could get back to it. Virtuoso tried to wait, but it's kicked right back into the blue half.
It does feel at times, Jorby, that Endpoint have just been outpacing, or excuse me, Guild have been outpacing Endpoint. You see it in the offense and why Guild have been able to have these flurries of attacks. And here's another one. Nolly, free shot, and a 3-0 lead now for Guild.
Yeah, this one coming to the point of no return, and Guild have really just taken over. Nolly getting a nice touch, but Endpoint, this is just an exacerbation of what the last four and a half minutes have been. They've been, again, slower to the boost pass, slower on positioning. They've been waiting for Guild to touch the ball, and then by the time they actually get into position, they're low on boost. They can't hit the ball. They can't make solid contact, is what I'm saying.
Oh my!
I mean, that's the most solid contact they've gotten all game right there.
Yeah, but you can't say that after a pitch like that. They're getting solid.
That's the only one. That's 1 out of 100, Corelli. That's like 1%, man. Yeah, that's not high.
No, I agree. It was tough. Well, look, it actually looked quite good in the beginning from Endpoint. They had a couple of attacks that looked very strong from them. But I think as the game went on, Guild turned it on a little bit higher. They have a level to go up every single minute of the game, it feels like, where eventually they just outpacing it and just playing better than Endpoint. They're keeping possession. They're finding each other across the field. I mean, these are things that Endpoint don't really do a lot of times, but when Endpoint's game plan kind of gets taken away from them, they run out of ideas. And you got to give a lot of credit to Tho here. He was able to take advantage of the gaps that were left by Endpoint. You can see his 2 goals. The first 2 goals were all him, the individual play, and then just waiting out the defense of Endpoint. So credit to Tho to be a little bit more patient maybe on these plays and seeing how they play out, and then taking advantage of Endpoint making mistakes.
I mean, where do you start if you're Endpoint? Like, it hasn't worked on any area of the pitch. They've been forced to play reactionary to whatever Guild are doing. And like, anytime the clear comes like high towards midfield, anywhere in the air, like Guild are already up for it. And Endpoint are still getting into position. It's happened in every single game so far. Even the one that they ended up winning, their defense has been good enough to keep them within striking distance, but their offense is just severely lacking in just the quantity of opportunities they've got.
Well, they have no control of the pace of game. I mean, that's something that we've been kind of hinting at, but just saying it out loud, it feels like a lot of times Endpoint, I mean, they very rarely feels like they have a big plan going downfield. They're not a team, that's going to switch the field a lot before they get to the box on the other side. But they are a team that need to have some sort of control, whether that's the Endpoint type of control or a more classic Rocket League type of control. And that's not something that we've seen in this game. It's really been a lot of Guild taking control of the game, playing at their own pace. And that's something that Endpoint needs if they're going to come out on top here in this particular game.
And it's not like there's, any shortage of the stakes for Endpoint. Like, this is a huge match for them. If they take down Guild, they get into that top 6 that they need in points. Like, this is massive for them with the teams that have been eliminated. And right now, Guild are looking to end it right here. That's a nice shot, but again denied. Guild's defense rock solid all match long. Endpoint gonna have to pull another trick out of the hat to break through.
And this first minute is kind of what I'm talking about. I mean, this is good control from Endpoint, where they have a player instantly rotating back into the play and having an opportunity or keeping possession of the ball. And unfortunately, they're going to give it up here. But up until that point, this was very good from Endpoint, where they were able to keep control of that game. That's what we're talking about. Keep the control of the game where things are going in their favor. The challenges are in their favor. They're taking a boost from the other side. Whew, good save from Relating Wave as things have switched to the Guild side here as Devo wants the flip reset and unfortunately double jumps off the ball.
But still, you like the stable rotation here for Endpoint. They haven't been caught out on a all-out Guild attack just yet. In fact, Virtuoso, now that's been a consistent pain point in this match for Endpoint. The crossbar has been their arch nemesis in Guild territory. They have not had a lot of success in front of the net. Relating Wave sets up another for Virtuoso, gets below Nolly, but those there to back him up again, and Guild fight for midfield once more.
I mean, the first minute and a half, Endpoint had 7 shots. And now they're up to 8 with that one from Metzenaris here. So, I mean, look, they are putting on the pressure. They are forcing saves. 5 saves coming out from Guild so far. But again, like you're talking about, the shooting accuracy obviously not there. Shots not falling for them. And a bit too high on a lot of these attempts. Keeps Guild in this game. Nolly now trying to make the difference, looking for the back wall. Virtuoso has to stretch out to get the clear.
And Metzenaris is there, throw it back out. Guild forced back on this push. Just not a real threatening pass or really rebound opportunity for Metzenaris. It's just so frustrating right now for Endpoint to try to get by these Guild touches, because the opposite of how Endpoint has gone, every touch is solid. It's close. Relating Wave has to fight for that touch, and now Metzenaris has to make up for it. Guild, again, it always comes down to control of the game, and every aspect we could talk about it, but Guild, in most of them, definitely have it. They've survived that long attack, and now they're going to put on another one here off the backboard, but Metzenaris grabs the next one. Guild trying to grab midfield. Endpoint might turn it around right here. Relating Wave gets a touch out back to the corner, but again, though, keeps everything clean and creates another transition for Guild.
Yeah, and I think the Guild defense are certainly figuring out the Endpoint offense. You know, we're not seeing the same type of attack that we saw early on in this game for the first minute and a half, like you mentioned. This is opportunity. Oh, Relating Wave, that's a cheeky touch to the upper right corner, and a 1-0 lead for Endpoint.
Yeah, they never saw it coming, did they? Though grabs that back boost, but then Relating Wave just turns around,
man. What do you
puts
do?
it in park, and, you know, that's as
boost.
Simple as it is. No boost,
You
no
have
problem.
any boost, you don't need it. You don't need it for a shot like that. And for Guild, I mean, that is basically an unsavable shot. I mean, it's perfectly placed. It's far post as well. What are you going to do if you're Guild?
All it takes is one transition for them, though. As good as their defense has been, one of the marks of it has been their ability to transition quickly. However, this game has definitely been different. Endpoint have had much more offense. Only 3 shots from Guild, and you have now 10 shots from Endpoint. Now they're trying to fight for that game number 5. And here comes another push to get insurance. Metzenaris wanted to find Relating Wave, but that was too hard with no boost. Virtuoso chasing a pass that he would never get to. And Nolly gets the flip around.
And honestly, Jorby, when you talk about the shots, I mean, the offense from Guild has been rather forgetful here when you think about what they were doing earlier on. I mean, there's really no sign of Nolly. I mean, they're trying to keep the control of the midfield as much as they can. They have players like Nolly and Do that are so good at doing that, but for the most part, it's been rather forgetful here on the offensive side of things. In the final 10, Guild needs something to close out this series.
Nolly gets back to the challenge, but Devo's got nothing, and he has to wait for this challenge. And Virtuoso wasted as much time as he could. Guild's last chance through the air. Nolly blocked by Metzenaris, but Devo just in the space. Killed. Game 5. Here we go.
Yeah, here we go is right, Jorby, because, I mean, when you take a look at what you saw from Endpoint here in this game, it is so much better than what you saw in basically most of the games here in this series so far through the previous 3. So for Endpoint, this is the form that you want. We talked about control of the pitch, control of the game, control of pace of play. We got that from Endpoint here. It was a 1-0 game, and you got to give credit to Guild for doing so well on defense, but for Endpoint, that is the type of game. The opportunities will come. And let's be fair, too, to Endpoint. They had a lot of opportunities that were just off of their own poor shooting percentage here in this game, rather than Guild just playing phenomenal defense. So if more of those shots drop, this scoreline opens up for Endpoint. Can they transfer this to a game 5? That's the question, Jorby, because if Guild find the form that they did in any of the first few games, it could be tough for Endpoint.
Somehow you got to find a way to limit the opportunities for Endpoint. They are quite an opportunistic team, and they'll take any little space you'll give them. At that time for Endpoint, they didn't feel the same pressure from Guild like you were elucidating, Corelli. But they weren't reacting. They didn't feel like they needed to react. They were playing with more confidence, with, okay, we have boost. I'm not feeling like I'm constantly having to rotate back, constantly be ready, constantly have to go back to back post. All right, grab this next rebound off the backboard and just rinse, repeat for about 6 or 7 cycles before you finally found yourself on offense. Endpoint, they get to this mark again. Game number 5. Can they take down Guild and overtake them in points? Virtuoso can't force the push forward. Relating Wave will be the next. Virtuoso, the demo, to open up some space. Metsanaris next up, nothing spawn there. Though Spawn definitely helps him out.
Yeah, right in front of the ball, but here comes Virtuoso, has a flip, a little bit more boost, and Devo still gets back to it. Virtuoso had 9 boost on that flip reset, and he used it in the perfect spot to lift himself to that ball. Guild once again being tested on defense. Endpoint coming out the gates once again, as we saw in the previous game. Looking to find the mark a bit earlier now, and maybe add a cushion.
Guild still having problems grabbing onto the ball. Nice pass from Relating Wave off the back wall. Though trying to play enforcer, couldn't quite ship Metsanaris off the ball, and Relating Wave came to help out regardless. Guild, this time they get a pass from midfield, but Metsanaris was ready for it. And the demo again, Virtuoso, he's turning more to the physical game as time has gone on here in the match to open up spaces. That's not a good touch from Metsanaris, and he splits the gap. A goal for Tho puts Guild in the lead.
I think Metsanaris accidentally double jumps here. I don't think he wanted to do that. And that just opens up the lane for Tho. Metsanaris used all of his boost to get back down, and the rock for this Endpoint team crumbling there and giving up the first goal to Guild.
Metsanaris, he's had to play a lot of the, damage control on defense for Endpoint in the match, and he's done well for the most part. That touch a bit uncharacteristic in the context of the match.
Yeah, and I mean, in the context of this team, Metsanaris has been the guy to make that big-time play to slow things down, and this ball getting through the defense of Endpoint. Guild turning it on here and piling it on as Tho gets the second touch off the back wall over to Nolly. Tough read for Virtuoso coming across his box so quickly, and just like that, Guild up by 2.
That goes back to what you were talking about earlier with, beating the first man being so important to a play. It makes that corner play look routine for Tho. He beats the first man. Second man has to try to follow up a lot quicker than he was positioned for. Endpoint in trouble, and it's turning into a disaster in the blue half. Devo picks up the third for Guild.
Yeah, it's getting ugly, and it's getting beautiful for Guild here as they are watching this Endpoint team crumble, and they are taking full advantage. A 3-0 lead in the first 2 minutes of play. Dominating start for Guild.
And if there's something that Endpoint can keep their heads in the game on, it's that how many times have they been in this exact position? They've been in this exact position, down 3-0 with like half the game left to go in a match point situation. Metsanaris puts a shot on net, but Relating Wave was the whole way back in midfield. Virtuoso kills the ball here, looks for a pass. He has Relating Wave in front. The shot blocked by Nolly, but it's a loose ball in front. Metsanaris gets the first kick. Nolly beats Virtuoso to the ball. Endpoint aren't done though. Tho gets the touch, but this is Relating Wave's ball. Not the best touch for him, and that might kill Endpoint here.
It's a good challenge from Devo. Still, this ball came out to Relating Wave, and he just bombs it, looking for the back of the top of the back wall there. Endpoint still somehow holding on to their offense. Relating Wave and Metsanaris getting tied up a little bit. Not the best touches, not a lot of power. And here comes Guild on target, put away. 4-0 for Guild. Watching Endpoint mess around with the ball on the sideline. They take it away and score their fourth.
Desperation, Corelli. You gotta go for almost everything with this amount of time left and being down 3 goals. You just gotta try to force the ball through. When you feel that desperation, you end up taking risks you normally wouldn't, and then another goal goes into your net. Sometimes things don't swing your way, and it's just all Guild all day on the pitch. 5-0. They're slapping Endpoint in game 5.
That was a full force kickoff there by Endpoint. They sent Metanaris on the kickoff, Virtuoso for the demo to open up space, but were punished when they gave up the ball on the Guild side. That quick transition, a 5-0 scoreline now for Guild as they're looking to walk to the end of this match.
You know, Guild's sometimes surprised with how well they could take over a match. And there's been, a lot of skepticism about how consistent this team can be, but this is the kind of gelling they wanted, right? When they bring Devo on, you just want to be able to get to the next challenge, play well synergistically as a team. The greater than the sum of your parts. Guild in this match and in this tournament have certainly illustrated that they are that kind of team right now. Everybody is contributing evenly to this attack. On defense, there have been standout moments from every player on the team. Relating Wave will pick one up, but it's likely for the road as it's 6-1.
Yeah, no, it is a shame that this game has turned out the way it is, because I think that Endpoint played a very hard series. I don't know if it was their best series, but it was a very hard series for them, but they stuck it out to game 5, where I feel like Guild was actually playing in great fashion for most of these games. And that's the type of form that I think people, when they vote for Guild to win series, that's the form, like you were alluding to, Jorby, that we would expect, that we want to see from Guild, having that offense with the weapons that this team has. I mean, Nolly in and of himself is just a phenomenal player. We've seen that here in this series alone, and knowing what he can do in other series as well is just something that makes Guild so scary. As Endpoint do pick up another one here with 59 seconds left. They've got that amount of time.
No, don't say that. Don't say that. No. But to go to what you're talking about Nolly, like I feel like, you have Devo as well. Regardless of the experience context, just Devo has still a high pop-off potential. There are still games where Devo takes over sometimes, and that's when Guild get really scary. But Tho has been very consistent in this match, and I've been impressed with how he's played. He has been reliable on defense. He has rarely let the ball get behind him. He's rarely put himself out of position to take a high-risk opportunity where there isn't a ton of reward. He just seemed to have a really good view of the pitch in this match, and I think it definitely paid dividends for Guild. I mean, look at him. Killing all this time off the clock. It's 6-2 in game 5, a match where Endpoint were threatening to take your spot away. It's exactly the performance you want if you're Guild.
Yeah, I mean, I think they certainly would want to avoid a game 5 in most scenarios, but I think in this one they could be happy to come out on top, especially with the performance they had here in game 5. They didn't even have to really break a sweat, as they will finish it out. A 6-goal game for Guild to close things out. Maybe 7 if they want one more. Why not, though? Get another one. GG's come out, and a game 5 win over to Guild.
Game 5 win to Guild. Endpoint, no chance. And that's a convincing win for Guild, considering how Endpoint typically do in these kinds of scenarios. But play wild and you get wild results. And that was certainly a wild one in game number 5. Though Devo and Nolly moving on and looking pretty good doing it. I'm excited to see how they perform in the rest of the tournament. Endpoint get a couple more tries, but not now. Later. So we got more Rocket League coming up. Team Queso versus Godsmilla's team. I heard he's got a new team. They put his name on it. It's this guy's becoming prolific. We'll have that match after the break.